Ladies, have you been wanting to make a change, but you don't feel ready? Here's the truth. Readiness is a lie. The model of confidence for women is backward, and we need to flip it. I'm Cara Moeller Poppitt, author of a new book, Big Freaking Change. After coaching thousands of women, I discovered action gives us confidence, not the other way around. If we wait to feel ready, we'll wait forever. So if you're ready to get unstuck and step into the life you've always dreamed about, visit bigfreakingchange.com right now and order your copy. Welcome to the Big Freaking Change podcast, where we dive deep into the stories of those who took bold action, embraced uncertainty, and transformed their lives without ever feeling ready. I'm your host, Cara Moeller Poppitt, author of The Big Freaking Change and the creator of the Get Unstuck Cycle of Change model. Each week, we'll sit down with remarkable individuals who have taken bold steps in their lives, personally and professionally, to make meaningful change. Whether you're seeking a career shift, personal growth, or a boost in confidence, our goal is to inspire you to stop waiting and start taking action. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Big Freaking Change. I'm your host, Cara Moeller Poppitt, and I am so delighted to be here with a dear friend, Nisha Pai. Nisha, welcome to our podcast.
I am honored to be here. I love you, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, she wants me as a guest. So happy to be here.
Amazing. Before we begin, I'd love to just read your bio so all of our audience gets to know the brilliance you're going to share with us today. Nisha Pai is the founder of Pai CPA, PLLC, a fully remote bookkeeping firm in Charlotte, North Carolina. She started her firm in February 2011 and was one of the first in the industry to create a fully remote office model, along with giving employment opportunities to primarily stay-at-home moms. As a single mom, sole owner, she grew from one client on her kitchen table to over 72 with revenues in multiple six digits. In January 2020, Nisha published her book, Overcoming Ordinary Obstacles, which won the award in the Multicultural Nonfiction category 2020 of the American Book Festival. She is currently known as an international speaker, activating women and entrepreneurs to go boldly into the life of their dreams by cultivating the right tools to overcome the obstacles in their way. Nisha is the recent breast cancer survivor and was named one of the top 50 influential women in Charlotte's biggest media publications. I just want you to know that I'm so delighted for you to be here. Thank you so much for coming and having this honest conversation. I love that you empower women, that you took adversity, you took challenges, and you created this beautiful life. So before we begin, Nisha, I'd love to just ask you about your biggest change, your biggest freaking change, something that was significant in your life that you'd like to share.
It is the premise of what I do. I always go back to and start with how I started my firm on my kitchen table. I left corporate America to become an entrepreneur, and it was by necessity, not choice. I had walked into my boss's office one day, and I had working part-time because I was a single mom and I wanted to be at home for my son. 5 years into being at that firm, I walked into my boss's office and I said, I'm ready for a raise. I'm ready for more hours during tax season. Like, hey, let's talk. And I had my list of, all my accolades and accomplishments. And I was like, he's going to give me this raise, right? Because look at all that I've done. And we're talking and I ask him for the raise. And at some point in the conversation, he looks at me and he says, no. And he says, because you have a mom gap in your resume. And for those of you that don't know what a mom gap is, it's the time that you take off of your career to raise your child. And so he was referring to this time that was years before I even joined the firm. And he was using that against me to not give me a raise. And so I always tell people this story. And I say, I pulled a Jerry Maguire, if you guys remember that Tom Cruise movie. And I stood up and I quit. I quit on the spot. Type A Nisha here, who always has a plan and checking things off the list. I just quit with no plan. And I walked down the hallway. I remember this so distinctly. And I called my one big client, which is a restaurant group here in Charlotte. And I said, I just quit. That wasn't in the plan, but I just quit today. And they're like, oh, okay, well, we'll go with you. And I'm like, okay, but I don't know where I'm going. And I walk out the door. And by the time I got to my car, I'm like, you know what? I can be an entrepreneur. I can do it. Let me try it. Why not? Right? I can do it myself. I can do it better. And that's what I did. I sat at
Wow.
my kitchen table and my kitchen became my office. And it was many grueling years. A lot of people don't see, right, the grueling parts of starting a business, but I did it. And it changed my life in so many
Mm.
ways, personally, professionally, to do this.
I love that you shared this story because it's like you were being true to yourself. You had
Mhm.
aligned action. You were like, are you kidding me? You're discriminating against me because I had a mom gap. And you knew that it was against your values. And so you took a bold decision. You weren't ready. You were like, they're like, I'm going to come with you. You're like, great. I don't know where we're going. I love that you just figure it out as you go. And I think that's the message that most people need to hear if they're looking at an occupational change or even a big life change, right? You figure it out as you go.
Right.
And I think that teaches us courage and it gives us confidence. And when I met you, I was like, who is this badass woman? She is funny. She's highly successful. She's an author. She's a speaker. She's got her accounting firm. And I really see you as so well-rounded and you haven't lost your way. Like you are true today to your values.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, can you speak to me a bit about values when you do make these big decisions in life, whether it be that, all the things that you're going through now?
Oh man, great question. So I did a core values exercise. I've done a few of those of different like workshoppy things I've done. And I actually wrote out core values for my firm, which also translate to my personal core values. And I run everything through that prism. I run people that I work with, vendors, clients, friends, maybe a guy that I would try to date. Like, do you embody these characteristics? Right. Or even if it's something I'm doing, an activity or something I'm going to be involved with, an organization. And if they don't, then don't, I don't engage. Like we're not doing it. We're not doing it. You're not, we're not hiring you. You're not going to be a vendor. And my biggest value, which is probably the biggest thing that the world struggles with right now, is integrity. And you can measure that. It's not something that you can't measure. Like, Cara, I have to get to know you a long time to see if you have integrity. No, like, this is something you can find pretty quickly.
Yeah. What does integrity mean to you? Let's expand on that.
Integrity to me is being, I think Oprah or someone said this quote, what is the thing that you're doing when no one's watching, right? Like, what is the thing that you're doing? Like, are you doing right? Are you doing good? Like, we have a moral compass,
Yes.
right? We've lost our way on this moral compass, at least in America. And are you doing the right thing? Are you doing it to make a fast buck, or are you doing it because you want to serve? Like, where is your intention with that integrity? And I can pretty much pick up on that.
When we talk about intention, I think it's so powerful because so many of us, we lose track of it. I've lost track of it. We can get so busy in life, raising kids, running your business, especially for working moms. But talk to me about when we have intention, how it's maybe easier to find our way. And specifically, if you're open to sharing a bit about your personal challenges overcoming breast cancer, like you must have had to be so intentional with your thoughts, your habits, the people, your energy. You have to protect everything when it's in this vulnerable position. So talk to me about that.
Yeah, thank you. It's interesting. My premise and my speech and everything that my brand is about is creating this big life vision for yourself. So big that all the obstacles that will come your way are overcomable. And what I mean by that is you have this dream, this vision that's so big that you're always focused on that, right? So that when you get derailed, like for example, for me, coming back from this one of my dreams, which was being in Paris for 3 months on a sabbatical, I created intentionality to create that dream. And I came back from that dream, and a week being stateside, my sister suddenly died tragically from a heart attack. And I had to switch into, she was my parents' caretaker. So I had to switch into, let me take care of them. Let me take care of my grief. Let me figure out how my nephews are doing. And at the end of the summer, when I thought I could come back to Charlotte and kind of like decompress, get into my own grief, get back into my dreams and intentionality, I got the news that I had breast cancer. On a phone call the very last week that I was at my parents' house, I thought, man, like, I'm getting tested here. And then I went into intentionality of, all right, this is life or death. So you're going to put everything else aside, including the grief of your sister and your dreams. And you're going to go over here and you're going to take care of the cancer stuff. Let's go into do mode, right? What do we got to do? We got to go see this doctor, da, 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 da. So I go into intentionality of kicking cancer's ass. And I did on December 23rd, just FYI.
Amazing, amazing. I saw your journey and was sending you love.
Yes, thank you. And I got lucky because I was one of the ones that got the early stage, slow growing kind, and I was able to like nip it in the bud. But I was very intentional about, okay, we got to take care of this first, and we're going to put your dreams on hold and your speaking and all the stuff you want to do. But I knew in the back of my mind, like once I got finished with that, okay, we're going back to, the road of the dream, right? Let's get back on the road. And it just happened, right? Automatically, because I'm like, all right, time to get back to that. Just because I've always been intentional about what I want in my life and the life that I want.
I always talk to people when we have dreams. It's not just the dream, but it's like the state of being in the dream. So how do you want to feel when you
Right.
go to Paris, right? I'm just imagining you on the street with a little coffee and a baguette and, a croissant, living your best life, watching people go by and having, I think the sense of it is peace. And most people want this peace and pleasure and happiness and joy, but it's a feeling. It's not actually the thing. Talk to me a little bit more about your book and, what the message and the main message behind the book is.
Thank you. I just launched the 5th anniversary edition of my books. My book came out in 2020, as you said, and it's called Overcoming Ordinary Obstacles. It has nothing to do with accounting or any of that, but I first wrote this book to heal parts of myself and to find a way to connect with other people, no matter age, ethnicity, race, where you live in the world, because I feel that we all connect. We actually all connect through pain. We all go through pain, right? We all go through pain, and it could be a divorce. It could be postpartum depression. It could be getting fired from your job. And I had this notion of, I want to talk about my journey as a first gen Indian, born and raised in the deep South of the United States, which we all know is a very racially driven part of the United States. At least it was, right, back in its early beginnings. And I wanted to share with people the painful things that I went through. And hey, like, I can't be the only person, right? My biggest fan, I'll call him, my reader, who wrote the most amazing review for me on Amazon, was a 29-year-old white straight male who was never my intended audience, right? And I'm like, dang, we don't know who we're going to touch, right? And we know this in our speaking world. And so I got the idea. My book came out in 2020. My big idea of the book tour was gone. So I rebranded and all this stuff happened. And my publisher said, why don't you, here in your 5th anniversary book, write an epilogue 5 years later? What has happened to you 5 years later?
Wow.
And that's what I ended up doing in Paris. I wrote this epilogue and rebranded it and all of that. And so what I'm hoping it does is help others heal through their journey, right? Where can people find themselves in my experience?
Mm-hmm. And ordinary obstacles, like it's a cool concept. Talk to me about like overcoming ordinary, because I think so many, it's like the big moments that wake us up, but you're talking about the ordinary moments.
Yeah. And ordinary really is, I had not experienced, my first extraordinary obstacles were this past year, right? Cancer and death of a family member. But if I really want to get down to it, I could look at those as ordinary, like divorce is ordinary, right? What is the mass amount of the population goes through these things. It's not like it's so extraordinary that you're the only one in the world, right? So it feels less isolating when you say, everything we go through, a lot of other people go through, right? It's not something so extraordinary that you're the only person that has gone through it.
Yeah, it's such a good, valid point, because I think I always talk, in my book, that we're more similar than we are different.
Yes.
But we see our externals, like looking at you, I'd be like, great, you have it all together. You do this, 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 and you do. And you had a storm in life, a few storms, and you keep the intention of moving forward towards your dreams, and you keep your path. And it's not to say that these things destroyed you, but you use them. Yes, it was massively hard, but now you're using them to share and shine and love on other people. You get deeper into your ability to have empathy for more people.
Yes.
You have a broader expansion for compassion. You have lived it. You have faced the worst in life, death, cancer. All of these things are horrible, and yet they connect us to other people, because it's the
Yes.
vulnerability and the pain when we let our shields down.
Well, and what I really embraced was we're human. In just being human and alive, no one escapes
Yeah, no one
any of
escapes.
that, right? You might escape cancer, thank God. You might escape divorce. But at some point you're gonna experience someone close to you dying. At some point you're gonna experience something else painful to you. And so yeah, you can't escape it.
Yeah, you have to lean into it. I can only imagine that your perspective has shifted greatly because of the experience in the last few years for you. I believe we always step into a new version of ourselves when we overcome or go through a big freaking change, BFC, right? This awakens us on a very soul, mind, body, soul level. So talk to me about this, who you were and who you are, and that process.
I'll start with who I am right now, which is the take no version of Nisha. I made a pact with myself after everything of last year that I wasn't going to allow under any circumstances where I would have before anything that gave me an ounce of negative energy, a negative vibe, a hint of drama, something that didn't make me feel joyful. Like it is cut and dry. Nope, not allowing it in. And the old version would have been like, oh, well, maybe this happened, or, maybe I should give them a chance, or maybe I should do the thing because it'll make them happy. No. Does it make me happy?
Yeah. And so often, as women, myself included, we are people pleasers. We are brought up with
100%.
right? This mentality to play it safe, to take care of everybody. Everyone's needs are more important. And when we look at the hard reality that, we're 286 years away from experiencing gender equality, we need women like you that are leading the way and setting boundaries and then protecting your energy. I believe energy is our highest currency. It's what shows up for life, for us in life, and it's how we show up and how we're connected. Talk to me about how you really protect your energy. So do you have a lot of hard conversations? Are you shifting quicker? Like, what are the actionable items that you now do because of the experience you've had?
Yeah. First off, I'm honest, right? In the South, people make fun of Southerners of like, they'll be nice to your face and talk behind your back. And I'm like, I feel like I'm more Northern in that way where I'm very direct, right? When we can release what we're feeling and thinking, it frees ourselves, right? It frees our minds. And so I'm very honest about the person or the situation, or no is a complete sentence. We've heard that. And I'll just say no and not feel guilty. The more you say no, the less guilty you feel. And it's just like, no. And I don't do all the things. I don't have the FOMO anymore. I will only do things if it brings me joy, if it's something that I want to do to, monetize something I'm doing. Is it something that's going to help me get to the next level? Is it family? If it's not any of those things, I'm not going to do them.
I always say that the more we say yes to other things and other people that it's not aligned with ourselves, the more we're saying no to ourselves. And
Yes.
so we don't keep that integrity with ourselves. We don't have intentionality. We're not, on our path. And I think that's what detracts so many people from reaching high levels of success, however they define it, right? But talk to me about maybe your biggest barriers. You've created this huge firm. You have an accounting practice. You're speaking. You're doing all this amazing work. You're an author. Talk to me about barriers and how you overcome them.
When I first started my firm here in Charlotte, I started with a service, a model that no one understood. They didn't understand remote work in 2011. They didn't understand like bookkeeping for small businesses, like an outsourced model. And so I had to fight against the norm a lot. And so to me, that's almost like a thing. Like I expect to be fighting against the norm and always like having to explain and prove myself. And so I just keep asking. Like I just said this today. I'm like, if you don't make the ask, then the answer is always no, right? So I just keep making the ask because the number one overcoming of that barrier is to have 100% belief in yourself. And I believe in myself and I believe what I'm doing.
Yes.
Right.
And that drives you. That drives you
That's right.
forward.
And that's why I can overcome these barriers. So if someone says no, I'm like, all right, well, maybe the next person will say yes.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. You made the comment that nobody understood the business model, and you kind of broke into a new market and a new industry, a new way of doing it, right? Accounting services were going on, but now you have a new method. And I always believe that sometimes we're just first, right? We're not crazy. Jamie Kern Lima has a great line. She says, "You're not crazy, you're just first."
Ooh, I like that.
And I take that too when I'm doing something I have to break down a lot of barriers, or I'm stepping into the unknown and nobody's done it before, or, we are true to ourselves. And I think that is a message that women need to hear is you're not crazy, you're just first. And I think that that's a great example of how you've shown up and really created a new market and a new demand for your service.
Thank
So that's
you.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
So what's next for you on your path of
Well, I am going to go back on my spring sabbatical to Paris and give my mind, body, soul a little bit of a rest. And while I'm out there, work on my creative juices and just create more for the Nisha Pai brand. I really want to build a brand that houses my speaking, my book, my podcast, whatever, and yeah, I want to build the brand more.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Thank
What's
you.
your best advice for people that want to build a brand or start a business?
Life is too short. We don't know our last day. We really don't. And last year was a testament of that for me. And so I tell people, shoot your shot. Just do it. You don't have to be prepared. You don't need to have a checklist. Just put one foot in and figure it out along the way.
Yes, figure it out. Next step. And you don't need to be ready, right? Like we
Right.
all wait for this magical feeling that we're going to be ready. And I like that you said, you can't be perfectly prepared. You have to take action. And that's where life happens. It's like the intersection. You plan for your life and then life happens. And that's where we grow the most, is through these challenges and opportunities too. Nisha, how do you explain courage? How do you define it?
Gosh, you're asking good questions. Courage to me is being brave in spite of the fear that you may feel, right? And just doing the hard thing, just doing it.
Absolutely.
Right.
One of your superpowers is definitely empowering others. I know when we connected, our energies were just like, yeah, you get me and I get you. And like, let's do this. Let's talk about empowerment, right? I believe empowerment is you inspire people and they make the change. And so they're empowered and you've given the autonomy to them. But share with me what you believe empowerment is and how you do it.
I try to see the best in people. I try to see what their light is, what their gift is, and I try to focus on what that is. Like, hey, here's what I see in you, and you've got this gift to give the world. And it's an injustice if you don't give it away, right? And I try to, and I do the same in my accounting business with entrepreneurs. I'm like, hey, let's empower you to understand your numbers so you can make business decisions. Don't be afraid of your financial statements. Let's look at them. Let's see, how you can understand them so you can make better decisions and be empowered.
Yeah, sometimes we fear the things we don't understand, right? So
Exactly.
even in business, if you don't understand your finances, it's really hard to make smart strategic decisions because the numbers, that's your data, but we lean away from it because it's intimidating.
Right.
It's interesting. When I went to university, I first started with my major in accounting.
No
And
way.
I lasted just a little bit. I'm like, oh, I don't think this is for me. So I majored in marketing. But I am proud to say that I know my numbers, and that helps me move my businesses forward, right? And
Yeah.
so many times we just look back and we understand the numbers, but we're not using the numbers to project to move forward. And I think that's also in life, right? We got to look back to go, oh my gosh, look at how much I've overcome, and I will continue to become the next version of myself. And that's the greatness I see in you, is I think you just keep showing up. You play
Keep
full
showing up.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. You play full out. Anything you want to tell the listeners when we're talking about stepping into a big freaking change and not feeling ready for it?
You're never going to get to your dreams unless you take that first step. Your life is worth it to make that change. Your life is worth it.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, Nisha, for all of your brilliance and your inspiration and your knowledge. And where can we find more information about you, and where can we get your book?
Yes. So I'm on Instagram and LinkedIn. Those are the two places I kind of hang out, at Nisha Pai, Neshapai. And my book is on Amazon. It's Overcoming Ordinary Obstacles. And I'd love for you to buy it and give me a review.
Yes, the reviews are so important for authors because it helps us, touch more people that it will resonate with. And that's really what we're all about doing. So thank you, Nisha. It's been an honor having you here. Have the best time in Paris. Eat that chocolate croissant and drink that cappuccino and look at all the people and say "oui oui lulu" and enjoy, live your best life. Everyone, have a wonderful day. Remember to take action, live with intention, be true to your dreams, and keep taking the next step. Have a great day. Bye for now.
We hope you enjoyed this episode and would be so grateful if you could share it with someone else that could benefit from it. Let's remember to change our relationship to change itself and take aligned action. If we want to make meaningful changes in our lives, we need to embrace stepping into the next version of ourselves in the process. Remember, stop waiting to feel ready and start taking action today.